This week on the show, the Sony disc vanishing, the Supergirl cuts, and scouring the internet for better movies than The Backrooms. All that plus this week's top story on this week's episode of Nerdigo News. Bruno, do the thing. Welcome to Nerdigo News, the only entertainment news show that's coming to you from the Backrooms, I guess. That's where I'm going with it this week. I'm Riley Trahan, Senior Entertainment Editor at Nerdigo Media, and as always, joined by my co-hosts, Deepak Chitness.
Sometimes I'm looking for something and they go, oh, we might have it in the back. And then I never see them again.
Bruno Manassas.
I guess that explains why I've been gone for a week. Damn.
That is true. Bruno coming to us back from the back rooms where he was cast away. I know, stuck in a time rift portal where he's learning about all the things he did wrong and how he can be a better version of himself. It's Jackson Trahan.
So true. Aren't we all?
Aren't we all, in a way, sort of learning that we shouldn't have been mean to a dog? Before we get into the Supergirl of it all, we do have to do a little bit of housekeeping. We wanted to make sure that everyone knows that you can head over right now to nerdigo.com, where you'll be greeted with a little pop-up window that asks you to type in your email address. And if you do that, then you will have instantly unlocked access to everything we do on this website. You get access to this show, Nerdigo News, every week when we do it. You get access to our movie reviews that are coming up that I think we're going to be putting in front of the paywall for general audiences to get to. So we've got an Odyssey, we've got a Spider-Man, we've got many other various things coming to you before the summer's over. And you get all the written stuff on the website. So KB has had some great articles going up recently. She had a preview of Little House on the Prairie, the Netflix remake. I don't even know what we call it. KB does. It's on. That's why we have her write the stuff. Nerdigo.com. Type in your email address. Zoop to the inbox. I'm hooking you up. Also, if you want to get these episodes in their video form on YouTube, because that's more your thing, you can head over to youtube.com/@NerdigoMedia. All right. I think I plugged all our shit, guys. Let's talk about the entertainment stuff. Before we jump in too far, I think the big thing that was sort of on all of our radars, Jack, was Sony related this week. From the people that brought you phones at the Alamo comes no more discs for your PlayStation, and also all your movies are gone. Do I have that about right?
Yeah. So it was sort of a back-to-back headlines from Sony recently, and neither of them went over super well, I don't think. So first, and maybe the smaller news of it all nowadays, is that, yes, a lot of digital games on Sony's digital store were rescinded. You can no longer watch the movies on your PlayStation at all, even if you bought them.
Right.
We have long been proponents of physical media for sort of reasons like this, that having a DVD can't be taken away. And that was fine, if annoying, I think. I don't think it would have been a huge backlash to it, ultimately, for better or worse.
Yeah, it was sort of funny. I think this is, these sorts of issues come across the internet all the time, and people are kind of startled to discover that all of a sudden they learn that they don't actually own these movies that they clearly don't own. And, you'll sort of see people get jostled online for a couple days about this at the idea that they thought they owned these movies that they don't. And maybe you'll see a good meme or two about it. But then it goes away pretty quickly. This was another list of 500 or so titles, I think. It was
also what I saw.
It was a couple hundred.
I didn't look through the whole list.
At the very least. So I was kind of surprised by it, and there were some good movies in there. It wasn't like they were all direct to Redbox stinkers. I think Terminator 2 was on the list. It mostly had to do, I think, with the fact a studio canal agreement with Sony. But yeah, just nuts that this is a way that people have to live their life.
And then, shortly after that, we got the real kicker. On the 1st of July, Sony announced that physical disc production for PlayStation consoles is ending in January 2028.
Right. And I guess, do we know, along with disc drives? I mean, the disc drive situation in Sony has been so...
Well, no, they didn't say anything more than that. The exact post from Sony was, as consumer preferences in the broader entertainment industry continue to shift away from physical discs to digital, physical game disc production for all games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued starting January 2028.
Yeah.
Following this date, new games will be available on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. This transition has no impact on games that are already released or will be releasing prior to the January 2028 in disc format.
But see, this is just, I mean, I know that we've been watching for a long time here as the like disk drives on PlayStations have slowly evaporated, right? I know that we
Right,
have,
this was certainly the first sign was when the PlayStation 5 came out and had a digital only version
yeah.
where you wouldn't be able to use discs on it. We all sort of knew that this was a part of a broader trend away from discs and physical media in general for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
But I think this was faster than maybe most people were anticipating for them to go whole hog.
Well, so I had seen a piece of data that suggested that it was, maybe it was like fuzzy math, but that they were trying to get across the idea that physical game sales only constituted like 3% of revenue for Sony or something like that. I
Right.
don't think I quite understood how they were purporting the math to break out in a way that number held up. But if they can even get that across in an internal meeting, it wouldn't be hard to say. Like, I can understand saying like, hey, this is the 3% we nix, right? Is the physical games.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure internally at Sony they have pretty good reasons to make this like as a business decision.
Yeah. So here's what I had found. So if you break down the internal like sales numbers that Sony has sort of made publicly available, the way that they present it is that 3% of sales are physical software. So the way that they break it down, and I'll drop this in the chat so that y'all can see it, so that we don't have to just speak to the numbers. You don't have to hold all these numbers in your brain at once. But so it's hardware is 24%. Digital software is 20%. Network services, so this is like subscribing to PlayStation Plus, for example, about 15% of revenue, just under at 14. And then there were add-on content sold outside of PlayStation consoles was like a 10%. Physical software 3. The big thing here, add-on content 29%. That's something like to my understanding, add-on content was like when you get a loot box, right? And that has really been like the shift that we've seen in this gaming marketplace for a long time. Is that things have trended more towards like in-app purchases, right? Like you want to be buying stuff in the app, and that the true problem here is the way Sony thinks about it. And Jack, this might be where I would throw back to you to like give us video game knowledge. But what I was led to believe was that the way Sony thinks about it is that 100% of the dollars that you spend in the store go to Sony, as opposed to maybe only like 25% of them if we're licensing a game and printing it on a disc and making an agreement with an outside partner and like shipping. So that it might
Right.
actually be more about the margins than the actual like percentage of sales.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true. I mean, like you say, I'm sure internally it makes sense for Sony to do this. We have heard since then that they are pretty committed to this as a strategy and anticipated that it would not go over very positively with fans.
Yeah.
That said, the backlash has been pretty strong. One can certainly hope that they will reverse course or offer some alternative solution, but we will have to see.
Yeah.
The same day, they also announced that the PlayStation 3 store is going to be closing in 2027. So it's also, I mean, at this point, it seems like after a while, your PlayStation 6 will only be able to play whatever games you got on it while the store was available. And then you might not even be able to load new ones onto it at all.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's some new wave of thing coming, right? Like this PlayStation Store won't exist
Well,
anymore because we
certainly.
all have to get into the metaverse space. They've made a
We've heard a
GameStop
lot about
for us.
Project Helix, and people have strong plans for what the next generation of consoles might look like.
Yeah. Well, and as it veers more and more away from like exclusivity and hardware and more towards like, hey, you own nothing. It's all in the cloud, and what you pay for is the rental. It's just gonna the control will be more and more out of our hands soon. I don't know. Awful. Everything's bad. Anyway, Bruno, you return to us from the wild to discuss Supergirl, a movie you have not seen, but that the rest of us have.
That is true. I haven't seen it, but I have been following the discourse on it. I'm planning to see it this weekend, hopefully, as long as all like my schedule goes according to plan. Um, but I just thought this one report that Deepak sent us earlier this week from Hollywood Reporter was interesting to take note of. I think you guys may remember earlier in the year, before Supergirl came out, we were hearing reports from the test screenings, and like
Hmm.
one of the key details being like how it didn't seem entirely positive, as well as people seeming to report like seeing three different movies. And this report from the Hollywood Reporter does seem to confirm all of that, where it mentions that the first few test screenings were a little bit on the lower side, and then the studio proceeded to do a bake-off editing wise between Gillespie's team and Gunn's team to see which one would be performing better. And I think by the end of the day, it seemed that Gunn's cut ended up winning by 2 points. These things are usually scored in test screenings on a scale from 1 to 100, and it seemed that Gunn won over by only 2 points, with the key differences being music choices, as well as I believe it was Gillespie's cut that was 11 minutes longer, with a little bit more focus on the villain Krim.
Yeah, that's what
Um,
the benefits that I felt like I had seen read or that I had read about the Gillespie cut was that it was maybe a little clearer. It maybe was like a little
right.
more plotty. That there was
Mhm.
more like character stuff going on.
Hmm.
But that I think maybe and this will be unsurprising to those of us who have seen the film, that the gun cut, which was the final cut of the film, is maybe a little bit more like in the house style, and that's maybe why it was chosen.
Right. And then, so, like, I just wanted to pass it off to you guys, like, because you guys have seen the movie, and just see what are your takes on this. See if you agree with, like, the choices that were made, if you are interested in seeing what Gillespie's cut would have been. What do you guys think?
I think that the big thing that I was struck by was how so much of the stuff that was listed in like these were the benefits of the Gillespie cut were like I felt like words taken straight out of Jack's mouth to me of like things that Jack was like, man, these could have been improved, huh? And these were like all the things that the Gillespie cut was like better at. So I did have sort of a moment because Jack and I had gone to see the movie together and we were walking around afterwards. And so I
Right.
did sort of have a moment of like, oh, maybe they made the wrong choice. I think most people and Deepak and Jack, I would look for you guys' opinions on this. I think most people had that experience when we got to sort of the final musical like needle drop of the film,
Mm.
and everything sent after that has just been like sort of a post-mortem of what the hell happened here. Is that kind of how you guys feel about it?
Yeah, it was definitely jarring. I remember, like you said, pointing that out among other things in our immediate discussion after we saw the film and before we'd really heard much from people, certainly about this or even about how people felt about the movie. It is no secret, I think, at this point that it has been pretty poorly received.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wonder how much this news is like only spreading around now because of that. Certainly, I don't think anyone would be talking about possible other edits if the movie
Yeah,
was very successful.
it's definitely the kind of thing that happens in the industry every once in a while, right? We remember when this happened like around Sinners, where
Right.
the trades will get somebody in their like sights, right? And they think they've like sniffed out a narrative. And if they can grab on to that narrative, they will really try and push it as much as possible. So with Sinners, they thought a stinker was on the way. Like they felt like everybody had spent too much money on this thing that nobody was going to see, and then Ryan Coogler really delivered, and that's why we sort of all made fun of them about it, right?
Hmm.
But I feel like with this, they have sniffed out the narrative, and now they are just like banging the drum for the clicks,
Hmm.
right? Like they know that there are people who are like, why did we get a weird cover of Jimmy Eat World at the end of Supergirl? So they're like, oh, let me tell you why. It was because of test screenings or whatever. Like they'll try and push the
Right.
narrative. I think that's kind of what we're seeing here, to your point, Jack.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, I would say most famously, this sort of disparity between, or this idea of an idealized edit of a film, uh, goes back to
Just
the
release the Snyder
DCU
Cut.
again.
Yes, Right. There is this deeply DC ingrained like methodology now, right? Like the air cut, this the Schumacher cut, like all of these DC director cuts that we have been promised and floated. I have been wondering a little bit, kind of to your point, Jack, as the legacy of the Supergirl movie becomes like tainted, maybe more post hoc than it actually deserved, right? Like as we just all sit around like talking about the movie, being like, yeah, but it was bad, right? And like piling on in that way.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the politics of that play against the Clayface movie in any sort of way that we should be thinking about, right? Like, is it, if Clayface is really successful and Supergirl is not at all successful, do we see Gunn and DC like drift away from Gun House style?
I'm sure you would love that.
Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. But I'm just like, you've got the new ownership coming in. You've got like all the changing of the guard. You've got all this stuff happening at the same time. I'm just like, it feels like a lot of moving parts for me. When I felt like originally, Bruno, like Gunn was promised like free reign, do your thing. Wooly, hands off. None of us care.
Right.
David Zaslav, couldn't give a shit. Do your thing with my superheroes. But now, like,
That is how David
Daddy's
Zaslav
gone,
felt.
right? Yeah, right. That's famously how he talked about everything.
What is the timeline of when they started saying that Clayface would be part of the DC universe and the test screenings for Supergirl starting to go bad? Is there any correlation there?
Was there a time that Clayface wasn't DCU?
Yeah.
So the first test screenings for the first bad test screenings for whatchamacallit, Supergirl was in December of last year.
Okay.
Of last year, not last girl. And then let me look at...
So we had the Flanagan confirmation on Clayface in December 2024, and I feel like at that point we knew it was a DCU movie. I might be misremembering, but I felt like we've sort of always known that, like, because it wasn't like it was going to be in the Batman universe, right? Like with like Pattinson.
No, but I thought we thought it was going to be another just standalone.
Oh,
thing.
just like a standalone thing.
Yeah.
I remember like this wasn't like a confirmation, but I remember whenever like the first few set photos came out, which usually like when it comes to like DCU stuff, they like it's like themselves like leaking that. It was very indicative that it was like DCU like canon Gotham.
In what way?
Like the logos, like some of the Gotham logos were the same logos that we had seen in Superman.
In the Superman movie.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You're thinking, Deepak, that there could have been feeling like we needed to reinforce.
Yeah, like Gunn starts to see the writing on the wall with Supergirl and goes, "Oh, you know what? Let me yoink Clayface as like a quick save, like a chaser coming just like 4 months after Supergirl, so we can get this thing back on track."
On the Wikipedia page, that the film and Flanagan's involvement were confirmed in December of 2024.
Okay.
As a part of the DCU, specifically.
But I mean, to that point,
so that didn't make sense.
Well, but even if it does, like, we also have Lanterns, right? Which is doing the same thing. Like, Lanterns is going to do what you're proposing one way or the other, right? Of giving everybody a quick hit right after Supergirl that's going to be way more straight down the middle, right? Like, maybe even too much so. I think the concern of Lanterns is does it end up being boring?
Right.
So, but
I think
the
after
DC
the latest trailers, that has calmed down a bit, at least.
Now that they've shown everybody that there's green in the movie or whatever. People are so weird. They freak out over the smallest things. Before we totally move on from DCU check-in, I just wanted to ask everybody how their experience with Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters is going so far. Because that is what we are in.
We are still in Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters.
We are still in Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters, which at this point, I believe, is going to be Superman, Supergirl, Clayface, Man of Tomorrow, and then Brave and the Bold, Swamp Thing, and Wonder Woman, as well as whatever TV projects we end up getting.
Right, because we do have Lanterns coming up, and we have, I think, Mr. Miracle, which I think is supposed to be part of Gods and Monsters.
On the TV side, if you want me, I'll do the whole thing. That's fine. Creature Commandos, Peacemaker, 2 seasons of that. Lanterns. There is a Booster Gold TV show that is still out there in the works. That is being showrun by David Jenkins of Our Flag Means Death. I believe there was at one point talk that Kumail Nanjiani might be involved in that Booster Gold series. I don't know if...
Not anymore, because he's currently shooting Sex Criminals.
That's right. Then there's the Waller series. That is anybody's guess in terms of what's going on there. And I don't know if they have canceled that Paradise Lost TV show or not, but they will eventually.
Yeah.
And as far as like things that are happening,
yeah, well, no.
is coming out in August.
Mm-hmm.
Clayface is in post-production, and Man of Tomorrow is filming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the status of things, right? And Batman is casting. They have a director. They have a script. They just need the only thing they can't find. Here, get this: nobody wants to play Batman. They've been all over Hollywood. No one's interested.
The only thing they can't find is
wasn't
Batman
there one
2.
guy that was like making the rounds for like just going everywhere, like make me Batman?
Yeah, it was your man.
Like,
it was your big old wall of meat. What's his name? Richardson.
Oh, Jack Reacher.
Yeah.
No, there was another one. Jack Reacher gave up.
You're
after
thinking
he spoke
of
with Gunn, and he already has something else lined up.
You're thinking of Dua Lipa's husband going around telling everyone he's Bond.
He's James Bond.
Oh, maybe.
man's gonna remain
sure
Dua Lipa's husband until the minute he walks
around
across the camera for Deepak. I'm sure. Well, I saw Kyogen's going to be back as Joker.
Yep.
You believe that nonsense?
I don't know what you're referring to.
Remember,
And
Jack, how
Batman
there was
Part
a
2?
scene that wasn't actually in the Batman movie where Barry Keoghan had a messed up face and white makeup, and he was like, "Hey, we're the same Batman."
See, okay, was that not in a version of the movie? Because every version that I've seen of the movie, that scene's in there.
No, you have seen the scene all the way at the end where you see even less of Barry Keoghan's face, and he says, "Hey, Riddler, we're kind of the same."
How could you confuse?
How could you mess those two important scenes up? No, the one that's not in the movie is when Pattinson and Keoghan Silence of the Lambs each other, and it like doesn't actually shoot Keoghan because they haven't decided what the makeup looks like yet. So they're sort of just like, I don't know. Here's the concept book. It's bubbly and he doesn't have all his hair. That's what we figured out. Yeah, I'm excited for him to get the. You remember how Cletus Cassidy, like in the Venom after credits, they just gave Woody Harrelson that ginger wig, and then like when it was finally his time, they really leveled up his look. That's what Keoghan's getting in Batman Part 2. He's getting the look leveled up. All right, let me go over my notes here and see what we're talking about next, since we're done talking about Supergirl now. Oh, Zerbop Bebop robot news. Hey everybody, it's your favorite part of the show.
I feel like you've lost some of the passion and the intro to robot news.
Oh, excuse me.
I won't. You used to really commit to like psyching us out.
You're right. No, you're Jack. I'm so sorry. All right, so for my story this week, I wanted to talk to you guys about this new animatronic that they're rolling out at Disney World. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity. About robot news. That's right.
That's what the story is.
No, it's not. It's not. That's not the story. I tricked you with the robot news about robot news.
Oh my god.
No, the story is less robot news and is more sort of like corrupt corporate tech oligarch news. But this is a little bit around the corners of something else we're going to be talking about in a minute. But I wanted to get you guys' opinions about the idea that the back rooms has sent Google to invest in A24. Now, there was a lot of sort of back and forth about this. We're going to talk about, of course, the A24, their role, I guess, in this Luca Guadagnino AI movie that's been going all around the internet. But I was first, do we think there are even good ideas on Reddit to make movies about? I think this has been the takeaway that everybody's been saying. Google wants to find all the good ideas on Reddit to make movies about. Is this a concept that we can get behind?
Well, first of all, I think what Google wants is to find all of the profitable movie ideas on Reddit.
Right.
That's fair enough.
About that.
They're not going to make a movie of the cylinder must remain intact. Fine. Fair.
Well, but not, you said all of the good ideas, and that's not what anyone, no one ever tries to make a good movie. People try to make profitable movies. I don't think Backrooms was a good movie, but it's been an extraordinarily profitable movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what they're looking for. Like, before you're like, Like, I agree people on Reddit aren't good writers, but that's just not what we're looking for. We're looking for a post that has 1 million views that everybody's going to go to the movie for.
Yes, we are looking for something hooky that people get obsessed with. And that is certainly what happens on Reddit. And so there might be stuff to be mined there. So in assisting them to do this, because they have made a significant $75 million investment in A24. And so to help support this investment, they have given access to the DeepMind AI technology for filmmakers. And so this is sort of the robot news hook of this robot news, is that this piece of AI technology is supposedly coming to the A24 studio. So I'm now reading from Variety. Disney's short-lived deal with OpenAI to license its suite of characters came as it sued AI companies like Minimax and Midjourney for copyright infringement, while Lionsgate extended its partnership with the AI firm Runway AI to develop new intellectual property and produce AI-generated shows, drawing from its existing franchise. Netflix also purchased Ben Affleck's AI startup, Interpositive, aimed at building tools for filmmakers earlier this year. So these are all, I think we've talked about most, if not all of these stories on this show before. But these are all sort of the AI filmmaking ventures in progress so far. And so now we come to A24, who is partnered with Scott Belsky, who leads the studio's technology division, A24 Labs, and told the journal that Wall Street Journal that the studio's Google partnership differentiated from the other deals because AI developers mistakenly advertised their products as a means to make films cheaper and faster. No. His division isn't going to advertise this. No. It says, sorry, pardon me. His division is developing applications for AI-generated storyboards, another reimagining of the production process that has seen filmmakers like Martin Scorsese rubber stamp. So I guess their argument is that they are going to use these AI tools to enhance the workflows, but not necessarily to make the final product. We saw similar arguments come out of an animation award ceremony lately that had some French animators walking out screaming, "This is the end of art." Jackson, is this the end of art? And can you make a final product that is free of AI if AI is in the workflow?
I would be surprised if this was the end of art.
Okay, good. I like that you're tackling the hard question first.
I do think all of those ventures that we have talked about in more depth in other episodes have differing goals and levels of realism in terms of what they're trying to produce. I think it is business smart to put your AI tools in not client, but non-public facing parts of your production line, like storyboarding. Because I think a lot of people just simply won't know, or will never be told that AI was used in the development of these storyboards. And certainly I don't think that many artists would consider the storyboarding phase to be where a ton of the artistic integrity is baked into the process.
Well, I think Belsky would agree with you, Jack. His quote from the journal is, "We think that there are better uses that preserve creative control and support risk-taking. These new tools won't look anything like the prompted generation type of AI that people feel uncomfortable with." So yeah, I mean, Bruno,
as far as like how successful they are, that all depends. We've talked at length about how touch and go a lot of these AI tools can be. But if people can get them to actually work and be more efficient to support real artists making real stories, I think that's good. I don't think that any of the projects whose goal is to generate entire movies are going to do as well.
Make me an Elden Ring movie. Make it
or
look
whatever
like
Disney
Alex Garland
thought it was going to be doing.
Yeah, right, exactly. Mission Impossible, but make it look anime. Bruno, Ellie Collins, the vice president, or maybe Eli Collins, the vice president of product for DeepMind, says, "We believe breakthroughs happen when you get technology into the hands of the best minds in the field." I only read that quote because you sounded like you were letting out a skeptical so I wanted to preempt your skepticism by telling you this is how breakthroughs happen. Do you think this is how breakthroughs happen, Bruno?
I mean, no, like it's a good point and everything, but like going off of what Jack said, I just like I do worry about whether or not there are like safeguards on the limitations of how far you can use these tools.
Mm-hmm.
So just so that like I know that like as you guys mentioned, most people won't be trying to just do a whole movie from scratch using AI, but there are the dumbasses that will,
Right.
and I want safeguards for that specifically.
I also think that for the individual people, right? Like I'm sure there are very talented storyboard artists who are much more concerned about this than maybe the average bear is, right? But when this thing starts coming for your job in particular, I think you need to be worried about it.
Yeah,
I will
exactly.
take the opportunity. This was unplanned, even though I knew I was doing this story ahead of time. I'll take the opportunity to hold up here "Blood in the Machine," which is a book that I've been reading, which is about the long history of the rebellion against big tech. It goes back to the Industrial Revolution and tells the story of people breaking the automated looms because they were taking the jobs away from the weavers. And it talks a lot about how that was just understood to be part of the social contract, that if you were taking jobs, you were putting yourself at risk of having your machines smashed. So maybe the storyboard artists need to get in there and smash the machines. I don't know. But in the meantime, this has been Robot News. All right. Deepak, you
What's up?
man. Antoine Fuqua not making a Hannibal biopic. Vin Diesel lets out a sigh of relief. What's the deal? Why aren't we doing
Yes, so we got news about a month ago from Variety that production on, I guess they're just calling it the Hannibal biopic, General Hannibal biopic, which is, like you said, directed by Antoine Fuqua, starring Denzel Washington. Uh, Production had been paused indefinitely while Netflix, I guess, took a look at the budget again, which we found out recently was going to be about $200 million. We then got word a few days ago through Robert Richardson, who has worked with Antoine Fuqua in the past, and of course is a cinematographer who's won 2 or 3 Oscars himself. He was planning or had been hired to shoot the Hannibal movie and was told and was therefore then telling that production is dead. The movie's not happening anymore. The pause to review the budget, I guess, turned into they're just not doing the movie anymore. What's interesting is that obviously Fuqua just had Michael come out, which is a big hit. As of recording this, it's now the highest grossing biopic of all time. I don't know if it's crossed $1 billion yet. But anyway, they are moving forward with a sequel. We know that. There have been reports that Fuqua did not get along well with the estate during making of the first Michael, so he may not come back for the second one, which is weird because that means his calendar should be free for the Hannibal stuff.
Right.
If that's not happening and he's not doing Michael 2, what is he really doing? That's the mystery.
I think that's a fair point. I just want to say for anybody who's scratching their head about Denzel playing Hannibal, that this is Hannibal of Carthage, not Hannibal Lecter. Although
Right.
I think
Hannibal Lecter.
Although I think Denzel Washington would fucking kill it as Hannibal Lecter, and I would love to see that performance.
It'd be really good.
Right.
I just wanted to declare, he is typically more of the classically trained. He sort of goes for the gladiators or the Shakespeare types more often than not. So it would be a little bit funny to see him playing Hannibal Lecter, Hannibal Carthage, much more in his lane. I was gonna say, how many? Listen, the man works. I'm not saying he doesn't stay booked and busy. And he's always sort of maybe had like a Harrison Ford attitude of like not really enjoying making these movies. But like, I don't know how many more opportunities we're going to get for Denzel Washington to do like huge epics, Like, I feel like we should just be pushing this through because like we need it.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, to your point, he's an older gentleman.
He is
at this point. And I don't know if Hannibal is the right role for him. A man who didn't live to be an old man.
Well, I guess
I wonder how interested he was like in actually doing Hannibal, because like not to hold his word for it or anything, but like in the lead up to Gladiator, he did do that one interview where he pretty much listed off all of the movies that he has yet to do, and then he's just going to retire and ride off into the sunset, which was like sort of like exactly what he said. And Hannibal wasn't among those movies.
No. Yeah. I think this was he wanted to work with Fuqua, or Fuqua asked him for a favor or something like that. I mean, they obviously have worked together on the Equalizer movies in the past. They have a relationship. I think that they like working with each other. So I wouldn't be surprised if, Fuqua was like, I would love you to star in this movie. And Denzel was like, yeah, sure. Sounds good. As long as I get paid. And maybe that's where, maybe reviewing the budget turned into figuring out Denzel's paycheck, turned into, oh, this isn't a movie we can make. I wouldn't be super surprised if that was the order of events.
Yeah.
I wonder if we do ever get a Hannibal of Carthage movie, or if, how long it takes to finally get it and who ends up playing him. I don't think that Vin Diesel will play him, despite the fact that he talks about it all the time. But I also don't know if I want to see a middle-aged Austin Butler taking on the role, riding an elephant over a mountain. You know what I mean? I don't know that there's anybody that I'm like, oh, that guy's got to be Hannibal.
Is this story a part of the cultural consciousness
enough? Do we need a Hannibal movie? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly that. But how much would people recognize the image of a general riding on an elephant through the mountains?
And yeah, sure. And even beyond that, how much more to this? That's the only thing I know about him, is that he rode elephants over a mountain.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's odd choice. We've talked. I mean, maybe we could write a movie about something new. That hasn't.
I thought you were going to say maybe we could write the
Hannibal
movie.
We could write the Hannibal movie. That's an interesting idea. But no, I meant more the general we.
Yeah, maybe Hollywood could get some new ideas going. I would be totally fine with that. Yeah, I think that if we need something to be the first sacrifice to more original films, it can be the Hannibal biopic. That's fine with me.
Riley, speaking of Vin, are you sad that Fast and Furious 11 is not a thing, apparently? Because it was... I don't actually know what the story was. I didn't click on it. But
yeah, explain to me what you've seen. And Fast and Furious 11 is not in production on the Wrapped. Broke about 4 hours ago. I see what you're talking about. Yeah.
People thought that there might have been a Fast and Furious 11. It turns out he was just recording a World Cup promo thing.
Yeah, no, okay, I'm reading this. I'm getting caught up in real time. No, this is hilarious. No, of course no. He was never in production on this movie. I would not have believed this if I saw it. Of course, he's not in production on this movie. This movie's not going to happen. We did this on the podcast, right? I did take you guys through the conflicting demands for
That's
Fast
why I was
11.
asking.
Yeah, no, I think Fast 11 will happen before Vin dies. I do not know how long before that Fast 11 will happen.
And when is that?
Oh, it's dated. I have the date in my special book, but I can't reveal it on the air. No, good try. Way to try and goof me into revealing my secret death dates. No, everything I have ever heard about Fast 11 is that word finally got around. It took long enough, but word finally got around Hollywood that life is too short to work with Vin Diesel, and that basically everyone is just trying to wait out that monster.
It only took 10 Fast and Furious movies for everyone.
Yeah, and 5 Chronicles of Riddick movies, and yeah. It took too long. Speaking of taking too long, Deepak and Bruno have been banging down my door for weeks trying to talk about this Antoine Fuqua AI movie that nobody wants to make. There's a whole Sam Altman angle, which means Jack's involved. Guys, catch me up on what I'm missing here.
Stop. Antoine Fuqua AI movie?
Oh, pardon me. Luca Guadagnino AI movie. An Antoine Fuqua AI movie would be fascinating. But talk to me about this is why I shouldn't be talking. So Luca's making an AI movie. Made an AI movie?
It is deep into post-production, close to ready, I believe.
Mm.
It was actually
I mean, what does that mean? Is that the part where they use the AI to make the movie, the post-production?
Okay, let me explain in full detail. So Luca Guadagnino announced shortly
do it like we're a news show.
Yeah, shortly after The Hunt came out, that his next project was going to be Artificial, covering the background of OpenAI, with Andrew Garfield attached as the CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman. First,
so it is like a biopic.
Yeah.
It's a social network thing. Yeah.
So at first it sounded a lot like it would be Social Network. As more casting announcements came out, it started becoming more. More aware to people that this was less about the rise of OpenAI and Sam Altman, and more just covering his like firing and rehiring phase from
like
like
a specific
2023
event that we actually talked about
and that
on this
the
podcast.
and that like from test screenings, people even reported that like he's not really like the fully like focused on protagonist. He's actually like more so of like an antagonist played in a very unsympathetic way, where like the protagonist of the movie ends up being more so the I think he was like one of the head engineers of behind OpenAI. I'm not 100% on that. Who is going to be played by Yura Borisov, which we've seen in Nora playing Igor. So I'm excited to see that.
He's playing the chief science officer of OpenAI, Ilya Sutskever.
Yes, thank you. Also, noteworthy in the cast, we have Mark Rylance as Jeffrey Hinton. He's known as like the godfather of AI. We have Ike Barinholtz, Sal Saperstein from the studio playing Elon Musk, which is too much on the nose of a casting, in my opinion. Like almost something you'd see on SNL, but I'm excited to see what's going to happen. Cooper Hoffman's in the cast as well. Monica Barbaru is also like one of the leading stars as Mir Murachi, the chief technical officer of OpenAI.
Only on our podcast does Cooper Hoffman get that much of a specific shout out. We love an aspiring nepo around here.
Listen, like Cooper Hoffman, Michael Gandolfini, get them two in the buddy cop, please.
Yeah, put them in a buddy cop movie together. We need them. Did you see? I think I sent it to the group chat when one of them was talking about how he and the other one, I don't remember. I think it was Gandolfini was doing the story, but was talking about how him and Hoffman, their bit is if they'll like be at a party and they'll be complaining about nepo babies because they're trying to bait somebody to call them out. Because then if somebody calls them out, they're like, whoa, our dads are dead. It is not the same thing.
Yeah.
Seem like good guys. So yeah. Okay, so Cooper Hoffman's in this AI movie. I'm into it, and it's Luca. Luca's moving. I feel like he's got something in the Best Picture mix most years these days.
This seems to be like this. Like both Luca and Andrew Garfield are aiming for this to be like an awards vehicle for both of them. Luca has been pushing really hard for this to come out in award season, and then it was even like earlier this year before like all the distribution issues happened. An exec from Amazon came out, and before they completely dropped the movie, they pushed the movie to next year because they specifically wanted to avoid this movie competing with Social Reckoning. And then I think it was like a month or so after that Amazon announced they were no longer going to be distributing this movie. They're going to be selling the distribution rights out to other studios. This coincidentally came out a couple weeks after Amazon announced. Thank you, Jack. Coincidentally, it came out after they announced a new partnership with OpenAI. Also, in lines with that, and just with a lot of studios, sort of like following suit on Amazon, it didn't. There wasn't much of a bidding war when it comes to like the distribution rights, and it ended up coming down to Mubi and Neon, where Neon eventually won for what I saw on the reports, a no money guarantee deal, which means like they didn't pay anything up front for the distribution rights. They're only going to be paying Guadagnino and company like based off of like the revenue that they actually get from the movie.
I mean, so all of this is insane to me, right? The fact that Amazon would walk away from the movie when they supposedly had a deal seems unhinged. The fact that they had gone through so many other potential distributors and that nobody, up until they got to Neon, it seemed like there was very little interest from around Hollywood. I mean, frankly, the fact that people are now propping up Neon as though they're some sort of savior of Hollywood when they are probably doing, they probably have their own exclusive AI deal coming soon. Like all of this just has sent me in a shock, I think.
And it's worth mentioning too that like the bidding war, like the non-existent, is a little bit surprising too, because like different from Supergirl, at least like the test screenings that came out for Artificial have been positive for the most part. People have been very much enjoying what they're seeing out of the test screenings for that movie, and so it's on top of that, it's extra surprising to see no one really like chomping at the bit to try to get it out.
Yeah.
I mean, at least I'm not surprised, at least by Amazon dropping it. I guess other people not picking it up is a little more surprising, but no movie makes you $50 billion, and that is what a deal with OpenAI gets you, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe that's, maybe it's just people doing that exact math that you just outlined, Jack. But for me, you look at the creative output that Luca has provided in the last however many years, right? Since Call Me by Your Name, certainly, when it seemed like he really got onto the main stage in a big way. But Call Me by Your Name, Suspiria, Challengers, After the Hunt, Queer, these were all movies that were in some kind of awards conversation. They were like heralded by critics. I don't think he has turned in a bad movie maybe ever in his career. So just if you're like even trying to cover that you are in the business of like making good movies, I just don't know how you can justify like, oh no, we'll pass on Luca's very topical, very important AI movie.
Right.
I guess we'll see when it comes out.
I'm excited to see it. Neon is like going with what Luca wants, and like they have switched it back, and it's going to be like coming out supposedly later this year. So we'll see.
All right, cool. Well, it will be exciting to watch. I am hopeful that it lives up to the hype of like. I hope I see it and I go, oh, this is why everybody was so scared of it, But I'm doubtful.
Yeah, that would be cool. Deepak is fully dying.
Has been this whole episode. I don't know how I'm gonna edit around this.
This has been Nerdigo News. Thank you so much for listening. We want to remind you can head over to nerdigo.com where you can subscribe to this show and get all of our written content emailed directly to your inbox for free. We also want to plug our social media. You can follow us at Nerdigo Media on TikTok, on Instagram, on X, and on Twitter. Now it's time for pop culture recommendations. These are things we've been watching, reading, eating, playing, or listening to that we've enjoyed recently and we think you'll like too. And this week we want to start with Deepak.
Nah, dog.
No, fully gone.
Wait, get him right now.
This week we want to start with Deepak.
You got to get him while he's in a lull.
Deepak's pop culture recommendation is taking a nap. How about you guys?
It's not having a 1-year-old boy.
Not having a little baby. Yeah. Jackson?
It is the time for summer games done quick as of recording this. Although at the time that it comes out, it might already be over. You should absolutely go and check the YouTube VODs of all of the different runs. It's better anyway because you can scroll through to the interesting bits. But there's, as always, a ton of interesting stuff, and they're raising money for a good cause. So highly recommend it.
Bruno?
Gonna be a little bit different from what I usually like.
Oh, suggest. Yeah.
Because and possibly getting on a little bit of soapbox, but I just want to recommend everybody to take a look at the Great American Sleepover that's going on this year, otherwise known as the 2026 World Cup. It has been some of the best soccer I have seen recently, just me personally being a soccer fan, and just it's also just great to see like people actually getting along for once when they're visiting here, and like they're actually like noticing that we don't really hate them. It's just our parents that hate each other. So please keep coming, and we'll come visit you as well. So yeah, check out the World Cup, everybody.
Yeah, and I have even been watching, I'll say this, some soccer that hasn't been American soccer, and I've even enjoyed those games. I watched the Mexico England game, and it was like I was like, "Oh, is this how most people?" Oh, okay. If I could maybe get on board with this if this is how they're usually doing it.
The game this morning was absolutely insane. I was about to curse.
The Argentina game.
Yes, Argentina versus
you can curse on this show.
Yeah, this is just our show, man. You can say fuck if you want. We're not on the air. It's just us. I let it slide. What's my?
I was around a lot of kids in the last week, so
I get you. Yeah. You've been in the great outdoors. You're more moderated than typical, which is fine. Have I talked yet about how I'm watching Dark?
No, but I
don't know if you have on this podcast. You have to me personally.
I'm watching Dark on Netflix. So here's the
Some people say that's the best Netflix show.
So here's the problem I ran into. I am a supporter of our good buddies Dave and Neil, and I subscribe to them at the $10 a month level at the Dave and Neil Patreon. I would encourage everyone within the sound of my voice to do the same, especially if you've made it all the way to the end of this show and you're listening to my pop culture recommendations. Go subscribe to Dave and Neil's podcast. they have a thing where they every week will watch an episode of a TV show, and the community can kind of come together and watch it together. So I've been watching Dark week to week, which is not the way to watch Dark at all. I have no fucking idea what's going on. This is designed.
No one made it this way for this.
Yeah, this is
not Lost.
Chemically engineered to be a binge show. So I don't even know who the characters are. Like, so that's I have really now. Funny. I'm now watching we've got to the end of season 1, and I was like, okay, I get the vibes. So now I'm binging season 1 to try and figure out like the plot. Get it. Yeah, right. Before I start season 2. So that's what I've been up to, and what I was doing before we recorded tonight. Again, this has been Nerdigo News. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to remind you to head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@NerdigoMedia, or our website, nerdigo.com. If you're more into the whole brevity thing, you can get all of the stuff we do there. We really appreciate the support. It makes what we do worth it. Some of us are exhausted and have small children to feed, so please support us. We need the help.
Still going, huh?
Thank you to Wiki Rascals. No. Thank you to Purple Planet for thank you to Wiki Rascals for our old logo and artwork. They used to do a great job. Thank you to Lindsay Behere Design for our new artwork. We don't really have to plug her contractually, but I'm happy to. If you like our logo, get in touch. I'll reference you to Lindsay. Thank you to Bruno for producing and editing the show. Thank you to Deepak for hanging in there. Thank you to Jack for just being a great brother, and thank you to me for being an amazing podcast host. Thank you to you for joining us.
Should always be the
This is always how it ends. Everybody gets a thank you. We went short. I can mess around a little bit at the end. And as always, don't forget to tune in next week to hear